Welcome back to ARC PDX. Memorial Day was the unofficial kickoff to summer, and for many teenagers, summer may be the time when they get their first jobs. But this morning in Dollars and Cents, we're learning that families don't have to wait until then to teach their kids about finances. So joining us this morning is Kristin Mullady with Pacific Northwest Federal Credit Union. Kristin, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is such an important conversation.
It really is. So why is it important to talk to kids about money early, and also how young is too young?
You know, in my opinion, it's never too early. They say kids as young as 3 start forming money habits. And at that
Wow.
age, it's not really about dollars and cents. It's more about understanding the basic concepts like saving versus spending or waiting for something that they really want. And we know how hard that can be with a 3-year-old. But when parents make money a normal part of everyday conversation, kids grow up seeing it more as a skill than a secret. And that's really the ultimate goal.
So what are some simple ways to introduce or incorporate money concepts into their everyday life?
There's a lot of ways to incorporate it. You can do it at the grocery store, have them compare prices on things. Just talk with them openly about what your family is making decisions about. Instead of making it this big secretive thing that you're keeping to yourself, start bringing it up, whether it be a family vacation that you're planning for. Let them know the real cost of their life, not so much in dollars and cents and saying, here's the total, but in the decision making of it.
Yeah, interesting. Of course, with digital payments, all the tap to buy apps, things are a little bit different now. So how can parents help their kids understand the real value of money?
Yeah, with without seeing money, it's so hard to teach kids about money, and so they just don't see cash the way that we did. So you have to get kind of creative and let them see the money that they can't see. Use visual tools like saving jars or even budgeting apps designed for kids. If they earn an allowance, show them how it disappears over time as they make choices, and help them connect digital spending with real effort and real consequences.
What are some maybe common mistakes that parents make when they're trying to teach their kids about money, and how can they avoid doing that?
I'd say one of the biggest mistakes is avoiding the topic altogether, either because it feels stressful or maybe too adult. Another is being inconsistent. For example, saying we can't afford that, but then buying something big the next day. That definitely sends a mixed signal. The best thing parents can do is be honest and consistent and age appropriate. You don't necessarily need to share every financial detail, but you should share the values behind your choices so they see why you're making them.
I want to talk about teenagers specifically. So how can parents prepare them for, real world decisions like managing their first paycheck or even
Uh-huh.
saving for a really big purchase like a car?
Yeah, this is when it gets real. And, I'd say give them a bank account, something with a debit card, and teach them how to track their spending. Help them set short term and long term saving goals, whatever meets the needs of your kid. And if they get a job, talk through what the taxes are, how to read a paycheck, and the idea of paying yourself first. Let them make small mistakes now, which might sound like bad advice, but those small mistakes now can save them from large ones later.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I want to talk about long-term financial responsibility. What are maybe some small everyday habits that families can build now to promote that?
A good place to start is regular money check-ins. Start that conversation, and then when they get used to it, they expect it rather than it coming out of the blue. It could be a weekly allowance discussion or planning how to save for something as a family. Involve the kids in budgeting for a vacation or grocery shopping so they can see the cost of the lives that they're living, and modeling generally good habits in front of them, like saving. Allow them to see you comparing prices at the grocery store, or even ask them to decide what the better value of items are, or
Mm.
talking through financial choices. These little things done consistently add up to really big financial confidence over time, and that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people, millennials like me, or, maybe it's just me, feel like we
No,
should have,
definitely not.
we should have been taught a little bit better how to do this because now we're adults and we're like, I never even learned any of these skills. You just gotta
Yeah.
figure it out as an adult, which, can have really bad consequences.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing I get from all adults with this really cool job that I get to do. I get to go and teach kids about finance, and they say, "Man, why didn't this exist when I was a kid?" And it's not too late. We have tons of resources. Most credit unions have the resources, but we have tons on our website that we've built specifically to teach K-12 students. But it's available to everybody, free to download because It's just they're lessons that you can print and teach about budgeting, all the things, and um, and they're kind of fun. We've tried to do them in a way that isn't totally boring and finance related, so that's the goal.
Cool. As a 35-year-old, I'm going to go check those out and finally
I hope
learn how to
so.
budget. Kristin Mullady with Pacific Northwest Federal Credit Union, thank you so much. Such great advice.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.